It was the year that Margaret Thatcher declared the ladies not for turning, 1980, and just a year after becoming Prime Minister, Mrs Thatcher was already imposing her will upon Whitehall. Previously unpublished details of her battles with officials and government colleagues are revealed in government archives released today under the 30-year rule. Here's James Blake.
Remember 1980? West Ham won the Cup, the Jam were at #1, inflation reached 14% and Yes Minister was on TV for the first time. But times then were not so very different from now. A newly elected Conservative Prime Minister, a recession, rising unemployment and public sector spending cuts. The documents released today from the underground vaults of the National Archive show that rumours of Margaret Thatcher handbagging cabinet colleagues are largely true. When the Education Secretary wrote her a letter warning funding cuts would affect standards in school, she scribbled a curt reply on the back.
We have got to get economies.
When the Agriculture Minister suggested constructive negotiation over the European Common Fisheries Policy, she writes in the margins,
"It's our water and our fish. Don't give them away. No. Too woolly. No. Never."
To former members of her cabinet, this comes as no surprise.
Her temperamental approach could be very counterproductive. I mean, you had to learn to deal with it, because if you didn't, you'd be swamped. Having a collective discussion is that she would sum up before the discussion started, and those of us wouldn't put up with that. And you then had to learn how to, frankly, take her on. I found that extremely embarrassing myself.
These are the papers that crossed her desk. You can see her intense concentration. She won't really worry about giving offence. It's very direct. And one can see almost, the passion leaping out from the page, really.
You turn if you want to. The ladies not for turning.
And remember this conference speech? The documents suggest this was prompted by a letter from Harold Macmillan 6 weeks before, warning her economic policy was divisive and could cause some British industries to collapse. And this was the year of the Iranian embassy siege. There was no WikiLeaks then, of course, so the embassy cables have had to wait 30 years before they've been released. But they do show the government wrongly considered the hostage takers to be Iraqi and even had a plan to hire out the SAS to foreign governments when they face similar trouble.
James Blake there, trawling the archives.